We
I
love
wanted
hip
to
hop.
end on a somber note, but you know the missing teen. I don't know if you've been seeing on your timeline. They've been showing this one black kid that was one of the missing teens, the missing black teens.
Recently
From like back in
Yeah,
or
the
from
day.
a couple months ago?
it was like maybe like the last 4 months. They kept on showing the same kid. We did a reaction on this, and he was the kid who was holding the puppy. I'll show you guys the picture of him here.
Yeah.
Let me pull this up here.
Is this gonna be emotional?
Maybe a little bit. Remember this kid?
Oh my god, no, I haven't seen this.
Right? They were showing a lot of pictures like when anytime they were talking about the missing teens. So he ended up getting murdered in
Oh
Saskatchewan,
wow.
right?
On a reserve.
Okay. And listen, the thing is this is a touchy story because like we've spoken about how a lot of these teens are not missing. They're like just get into the game.
Going OT.
Yes. He was literally one of the ones that you were like, yo, yeah, kind of just got caught up into the whole game. But still, same way, his mother was still fighting like she didn't even care about none of them talks, right?
Of course, she
Yeah.
wants her son back
Of
home.
course.
Yeah.
But then it's hard to say that, like you're publicly saying, yo, come home, but your youth's out there in the trap, and now you find out the youth's dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a question, but like I have like it's more of like an inquiry. Like, how do we get these kids? Like, how do we get these parents even to understand? Because it's hard. It's like a two-way street. The parents want these kids back, but the kids ain't missing, fam.
You think like these kids don't like do they choose like is it manipulation? Is it like they get wrapped up in this drug trade? Like obviously I don't know. 'Cause,
Mm.
yeah. But again, like how they're groomed, yes, but are they trying to prove something? Like what do they use to get these kids involved? You know what I mean? Like what is like the leverage
Money.
that it's just like is it the money? Is it the
Yes.
lifestyle? Like and they try to sell them a dream like you could be living like this.
Type
Also,
shit.
like 16 is crazy. Like what can a 60-year-old like 16-year-olds are not even fully equipped to like handle being a drug dealer. Like you know what I mean? Like
They
they don't
are though. They're actually kind of like the perfect mules. You know what I mean? Like they don't have them doing the high level shit. It's like
right.
you're the runner. You know what I mean? We'll pay you like a band a week. For most 16-year,
What?
a band a week is crazy.
Yeah.
Bruh,
for
I
sure.
was selling drugs at 17, crack for less.
Damn.
A
Wow.
band a week? Well, this is also way back in
gonna
like in
say,
the
but
early
how much-
90s. So like inflation,
Yeah.
right? But I was only making a couple of $100 a week. But I thought I was a guy.
Yeah.
Plus, like, if you get caught as a youth offender, like the
You don't- the
consequences are way
time.
less.
Yeah.
Even if it's an
Yes.
M, like that's why some of these youngins could even do hits because it's like you're not gonna be tried as an adult more
Yeah.
times.
But I don't feel like I was G-roomed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like I went to them. I went up to them. I was like, yo, how could I get changed and shit like y'all?
But you know what I will say? You might not have been groomed in like a direct way, but
Mm.
culturally,
I was
I
about
feel
to
like
say
these
that.
kids are groomed. And
Stop
Ev-
using that word
I was
also.
about to say that.
Yeah,
Like, we
pause.
have it.
But or influence, let's
Is that why
say.
you
be-
said G-roomed?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
just trying to get around YouTube, yo.
Oh, okay.
But- like even your generation, our generation, we had cultural influences that would push people towards like this like criminal capitalistic pursuit. But I think with
Yes.
this generation, it's even worse because it's like all they're seeing is like they might see red pill content of like you have to be a rich man to do XYZ, or they're seeing like certain cultural figures that are like emulating a certain lifestyle. They're seeing the man who are up, who are selling. They're like they don't have hope to
Yeah.
find a part-time job.
thing
Like
is-
there's so many factors.
I feel like, and this is like my experience as I was a black boy myself. There aren't enough examples of like success stories outside of the streets or like outside of music or outside of like athletes.
Sports, yeah.
Of course, there obviously is, but for me, it wasn't until like I got with my ex, who was like, and she was like in law school at the time, and then she became a lawyer.
Wow.
But like her whole family was like well off type shit, you know. And then that kind of changed my perspective. I'm like, oh wow, like black men could actually have like a well-paying job without. And obviously that sounds like mad simple, you know what I mean? But like I didn't really see that growing up in the hood. I just seen man just like slanging and shit, you know. So I didn't really see that as a possibility for myself until I seen her pops. Like
Mhm.
the man, he just ran like some company that dealt with airplanes or whatever, and he's super up, you know what I mean? Had a nice family and stuff. So I feel like we need more of those examples that are like cool for the youth then, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, straight up.
Do you feel like
Unfortunately, it starts at home a lot of
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah,
It does.
I just feel bad because we're having this conversation and I do understand the missing aspect and they posted them as missing and the parent, like the mother, like really being like, yo, like, bring my son home. But it's just so hard because like I don't want to disrespect them, but like they're not really missing.
Shorty
They're
want to be a
choosing to be
thug. You
there.
know, that
Yeah,
Tupac song?
like you can't. You know, like if it was, it'd be one thing. Like if you can get the police to find this person tied up in a room somewhere, or whatever,
Right.
whatever. But like the kid is literally ducking the police. He doesn't want to be found because he's doing something on roads. So like you can be crying, begging for him to come home all you want. It's not gonna happen, fam. He wants to be outside.
I have a question,
It's crazy.
and maybe this is a Zoe question as a woman. Do you feel like women liking these badman, liking criminals, kind of leads people to that lifestyle? Because at the end of the day, a lot of it is to like gain status to get women, and
Mm.
women subconsciously encourage this behavior by going for these hitters, by going for these drug dealers. So if you guys normalized going after the 9 to 5 over the criminals, maybe that would lead more people to want to go in a more mesquite direction.
Yeah, Zoe.
It's
I mean,
your fault. No.
I don't want to obviously like I'm not gonna blame it all on women, but I do think it plays a factor for sure. Because even like not to go back to Drake said it right. Every pretty girl tells that's the shit that she likes.
Mhm.
And even I see like even my friends like who are 30 pushing, they're like, oh yeah, like they're still dating like these scammers and the trap. And I'm like, bro, you tell me you want to be a wife, you want a home, you want kids, you want stability. Why the fuck are you dating scammers and trappers
Mhm.
and PIMPs?
Mm.
That is the opposite of what you want.
Yeah.
And again, I think, like I said, men love money and women. And unfortunately, when it comes to drug dealing, you get money. And then girls like the lifestyle. They like he can get me a Rolex because he scams and he traps, or he can buy me a Van Cleef, or he can do this and that.
Mm.
They like that shit. And then it gets also messy because then girls see girls on Instagram with Chanel bags and Van Cleef bracelets,
they
and
want
we're
it
in.
as well.
And then, oh my gosh, she has that. Oh, because she's dating. Okay, well, I need to get me a scammer.
Yeah.
Like I have friends who live in like the States, like, oh, like, do you like like Nigerian guys? Like, do you like certain guys? Because they have that like stereotype of, oh, there's scammers
The
out here.
scammers,
So like if you want
yeah.
to go on, and I don't play that game. I don't play that game at all. I don't want no parts in that because I'm not built for that shit. Nope.
Mhm.
I
You're not-
think it's
You're
also
you're not trying to go do no
I'm not putting no shit in my asshole. I'm not doing
bail,
nothing. Nothing.
yeah, jail visits.
No.
I
not
think
my
it's-
bag.
I
I
thi-
was raised very similar to your ex. I don't.
Mm.
Yeah, my family's very like, you go to school, you get a good job, it's clean cut. Like we don't do that at all. You come from a family of people who are like educated,
Mhm.
career driven people. Like that was never a thing in my house.
Yeah, no Ray Rays.
No.
I think it's beyond just money, because let's say a girl had like a mesquite surgeon who makes like, let's say 300, 400,000 a year. He can provide that. There might be a gangster dude who makes like 150, 200,000 cash, but like there's the aspect of danger, or maybe there's with that danger comes like security because like, oh, this guy has a bunch of straps, or like, you know, and then it's like, it's not just the money then, because then it
It's
becomes
the
about
lifestyle, the
lifestyle,
flashiness.
respect,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
you know,
you want to
so
be a mob wife.
yeah, but then I'm like,
Yeah.
is that controllable for women, or is that culturally dictated, or is it kind of like they're gonna find that attractive because of what it represents, regardless? You know?
Girls like bad boys. It's an
Yeah.
old school term
It
that
is.
still lasts the test of time.
Yo, even when I was young, and I think the media plays it, but even when I was younger, I was like, yo, I used to watch like The Sopranos and watch like The Godfather. I'm
The
like, yo, I would
Wire.
love to be like the wife at the table, and my man is the head honcho of a drug ring, and I'm just there, you know what I mean? Like in my fur coat. But then you think about like, bro, why was that even a thought of me at like 12? You know what I mean? Again, it's like, what are we watching that we're conditioned to like seeing?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, like I would love to do that. She looks super cool. Like she has a mansion and she gets to walk around in fur coats because
Mhm.
her man's slinging dope. He's ahead of the mafia.
Yeah.
And there was a show called Mob Wives, like a reality show I remember, where it was like women talking about them being married to these crazy mob bosses, and
Yeah.
the lifestyle that they have, and the respect, and the being a boss, and and the code. It seems so cool.
Yeah.
So it's a mess
No,
all the way around.
Over the years of me, like, it took me a while to get out of the streets, right? But over the years, I would say 90% of the women that I dated were not on some street shit. They were total squares, and they were totally cool with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't go for the hood chicks or whatever who are like, they just deal with bare drug dealers. I literally
Yeah.
went for the squares, and they were going.
The suburban girls like the bad boys. I have a lot of women in
Yes.
that like really close to me, like personally, that are older, and they might have like grew up in like Richmond Hill or like Pickering or whatever, but like all their baby fathers are like hood guys from like Rexdale. And so I'm like thinking about, I'm like, that is so interesting, because how'd y'all even get down here to be meeting these guys at Jaden Finch and Rexdale to now be kids with them and all that stuff?
Tinder.
Oh no, this is before. Like these are like my mom's generation up.
Basement jams.
What's your mom generation?
My mom, what's that? Like, she was born in the 60s.
Okay.
So yeah, you know what I mean?
Close.
Like, even
No, I'm
like that
joking.
that early like first generation like immigrated to Canada, like when they came from like the Caribbean. Like a lot of the women of like my mom's generation and like her friends or people that she grew up with, a lot of them like their families came here but might have moved them up. They had the means to go up to the suburbs.
Yeah.
But those girls
They
in
would
the
still go to the
80s
dance halls
still
and stuff.
found their way down to Rexdale and Jane and Finch and da-da-da. You know what I'm saying?
There are places that they weren't even supposed to be. Like they're
Yeah.
going back to their nice suburban backyard, but like they're in dangerous places. They're driving around with mans in cars who have guns and shit like that, who they might get pulled over. Like
Yeah.
you don't really have to live like that.
Yeah.
But the guy who's in your neighborhood who's making good money, you ain't going for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a personality thing as well. Because respectfully, I don't think no dirty street niggas taking no shot to your mind any day. You know what I mean? But like, I don't think I'm present fully square. Like, I'm a little awkward sometimes, but you know, like, it kind of works for me. But
And you're also assuming that it's dirty street niggas. There's a lot of street niggas who ain't dirty. You know what I'm saying? They're coming through, nice shirt, not the Gucci with the Gucci print on the front, like this like conservative shit. You know what I'm saying? But they got bricks.
And I feel like a lot of girls who like maybe don't go for street dudes, a lot of them have experienced street dudes, and then like they realize that the grass wasn't greener. Like they kind of seen past the smoke and mirrors where it's like maybe it seemed like he was up, but now he's bummy, and now she's taking care of you because like right now his scams aren't working or whatever, you know?
Or
Like
he just did a bid.
Or he ends up in the bin. She's like, I don't want a guy in the bin.
I think also growing up in the hood is like also like a personality thing that girls can also, even if like for example, like my dad grew up before he passed away. Like grew up in like he was never a hood man though. He was very like went to school, clean cut, play ball, but like he grew up in the hood. You know what I'm saying? But my mom didn't. But my dad was never a hood man. But like she knew where he was from or whatever. They got together. But even like me, I've dated guys like who like maybe like lived in the hood. They weren't hood by any means, but like they grew up around that stuff. They're different personalities versus guys I've dated who are like from the suburbs, like from Brampton. I mean, not to say like it's a bad, like one's better than the other, but you kind of see how certain guys move who like grew up a little bit more rough versus guys who grew up in a nice 5-bedroom house. So some girls like to lean towards the more guys who kind of have a bit of like a harder stance on things. They've been through stuff. They have things to talk about. They have history in the hood versus a guy who's like, oh yeah, my parents came here and I in school in Brampton and I live in this big house. You know what I mean? Like
guy like natural.
Yeah, but I like both. I don't do the hood business. You could have
I don't
grown
do
up.
no hood business.
You could have grown up in there. You could have been from a rough area, cool. But like, no guns, no drugs. I don't play that game.
Yeah.
Keep what about like a legal gun, a legal firearm?
I don't even like that.
Really?
No.
Even with all these like beanies and stuff on the rise.
I know it has to be like so locked up. Like, don't just have it like under the bed or like in the
course.
like lock it up and shit. Fine, maybe, but yeah, even like when the guys like my ex was from the States and like just like somebody let's have guns on them. Like, bro, we don't need. Why do you need that?
Damn, bro.
Because you want your man to be at the most advantageous position. Because like if they're pulling in with guns, it's like, oh, my girl doesn't want me to have a strap, so I have to go fight these niggas.
Well,
I gotta go to the safe to go get my gun. Nah, fam, I got mine under the pillow.
Yes. What? Yes, in our home, I hope you just go to the safe and get the gun. I don't want the gun.
Nah, fam, like me, if I'm in a place where I can have guns, and we'll wrap this, right? I got them under the toilet or behind the toilet. I got some like under the bed. I got one under the pillow.
Multiple.
I got freaking pop-out
pillow?
spots. What? Fam, if you're super up, I want to be able to get to my shit in like one hand motion.
Not
you know
get up
saying?
in your boxers.
None of that.
You're like 1 sec. Beep, boop, beep, boop, pop.
Babe, distract them.
No, literally.
It's just what room am I in and which one is gonna pop out that I'm gonna pick.
What's the password?
Yeah,
Password? I forgot. Is it 145
Oh
or
my
146?
God. Yeah, I can see that point, but I can't be involved. So I just don't date men who live that life.
Okay, so what did we learn by the end of our episode to conclude?
We
Thanks
love
for
hip-hop.
watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out these other videos on the screen and make sure to like and subscribe.
We love hip hop.